A lot of fun to watch that one in game number 1. Andy, his prediction still reigns true. As we go into game number 2, will it still be, and will Luminosity drop it? He hopes not. Let's see.
Still looking to go in. Benji made it out. Xenotronics over the wall. We'll take out Ionic. And now dashing Forno. Xeno finds a double kill. Face to the face, turning back around. Master the jungle though. He just two-shot him. Gonna look to try and dash away, but the ball's already there. And Benji recognizes that. He doesn't use his dash. Ults in place, gets the stun. Turn around, kill 2v1.
This time around, Luminosity will go ahead and get the first pick and the first ban. Denial Esports on the right, playing from Chaos. They'll have to do a little bit more deciding on their lineup.
See if we see a little bit of switch up. LG going to ban away Sobek, so Shadowq doing a really good job of that last game. So he actually goes Purification, which Shadowq has been known for, even against, you know, non-pick oriented teams, but against the Awilix and Finra, we saw him pick it up early. He did, the team fight suffered a little bit for Denial because they didn't have a shell, right? They didn't have a curse or anything like that. Maybe if the shell comes out, they have a little bit of better engage, but he survived and he wasn't picked off because of that. And honestly, Shadowq doing a really good job of just focusing down JeffHindla. That's really what allowed Denial to get that lead to begin with last game.
Just the aggression coming out from the support role, as JeffHindla winds up not going to have the Sobek available to him either as the bans come out. Jeff does like that Sobek. But the first pick without Thor will be a Janus.
Wow. BaRRaCCuDDa there on Janus. The team electing to focus on the Vulcan last time. And Janus is like Thor, right? And this is funny because I think LG, they're like, Thor does everything. If you're ahead, you can just hard carry. If you're behind, you could still be useful. You could still split push. And Janus is kind of like the same thing, except for the mid-mages, where it's like, if you're ahead, you're going to body. If you're behind, you could still be useful.
Now, Soul will be the selection for Denial. I'm very curious to see the second pick before I say anything else. It'll be the Hou-Yi.
I think that was banned last time.
Yeah. What I was going to say about Denial was that nothing about their composition was incorrect. Nothing about their selections was wrong. It was just execution. I would see if Denial picked all 5 of the same gods outside of that Hou-Yi since they banned it last time, I'd be totally fine.
We could see an Awilix pick up here from Luminosity. I don't think andinster really had a phenomenal game, and I think, honestly, he made 2 pretty early mistakes, most notably in that solo lane that he really suffered for. But, I mean, coming into the late game, right, like just the ability to pull people back into team fights, specifically looking at that last engagement at the Phoenix, is so good, and that's exactly what he's going to go back to.
It also creates a situation where when you're playing against the Thor, you can almost match Thor's mobility. Yes. Whether you're trying to chase him around the jungle while Thor's teleporting to the hammer, or once he goes up, I mean, Suku, you can see him in the sky and then ride your way over to the lane quick enough. With the Thor out, now you're the one setting the pace.
This is really interesting coming out of the Denial here because they, obviously the Hou-Yi completely countered by Awilix, right? Has basically the slowest jump in the game, the easiest thing to pull. And then Denial Esports, they instantly go into the Hunbats. Once again, another jungle god that is easily countered by Awilix here. Denial Esports, they're not scared of Awilix. That's what they're saying. Because even in the last game when they had the perfect opportunity to ban it against the Vulcan and the Honor, they still just left it open. They still let andinster pick it.
So no real concern there. I mean, the monkey does have a number of different ways to get around, whether it's teleporting to his sacred monkey or if he's going to buy the blink. So a number of different options for the Hun Bats. And even if Awilix does wind up pulling him to the ground, the Khepri will be able to select the target to save.
100% win rate currently on Artemis. It's only been picked up really by top-tier teams that know how to protect it.
Panda Cat.
And the thing that's worrying here is that, you know, LG, the only real peel they have is Janus right now, which is it's actually very good to have, you know, a low mobility god in conjunction with Janus because not only it's not even just the portals, it's the threshold as well.
Well, I personally actually really like the amount of peel that comes out from the Awilix, whether it's the tiny root from Featherstep or the knockup, more importantly, with the bowling ball. But Vamana's got a knockup of his own, and plus, he's got that Ares peel, where he just creates an area where you can't walk.
Last pick going to be Amaterasu, and honestly, Artemis, very good matchup against Hunbat specifically, because you do have a small window where you can see Hunbat's Fear No Evil come out, you can immediately bore, and then honestly, the tick damage from Fear No Evil is very low. You can just sit and fight in it, and you have that massive amount of CC immunity, and then the Hunbats also get stunned.
I love Benji on this Amaterasu. I think this is not only one of his better gods as far as mechanical, but just the way that Amaterasu's kit enables her to play, enables Benji to go ahead and play hyper-aggressive. Denial was very aggressive in game number 1, and that put them in a position to win. But Luminosity yanked the carpet out from underneath them and took it away. Will they do the same in number 2? Let's find out.
Look at this, BaRRaCCuDDa left untouched in the middle of 4, finds the stun. He's going to be focusing Mast to
There it is.
in the back line. There goes Stealth, and there goes Mast as well. Triple kill coming up from BaRRaCCuDDa, and Luminosity are looking good to close out game 2. Trying to find the last hit. That's the 3rd kill in a row for andinster, and this is Luminosity. You can't count them out at any stage in the game. Looking for a 3rd, but BaRRaCCuDDa might be able to turn this. And a double kill for the BaRRaCCuDDa.
And here's that Guan Yu coming out for JeffHindla, the support Guan. Honestly, one of my favorite warrior supports that we can possibly bring out. Luminosity, what they're going to look for now, they're going to look for extended engagements, whether it's ScaryD or JeffHindla. Both of these characters are going to benefit from being in one long fight for a long, long time.
And, you know, the healing from Guan Yu can never be underestimated. Actually, Guan Yu has, looking at the SPL stats, excluding Aphrodite, who's been played once, and excluding Ra, who's a true healer, actually has the highest average healing per game. Not self-heal, just party only, right?
Yeah.
Not including any self-heal with meditation. It's all party healing. And I think Ra beats him on average by like 100 healing per game, which, considering Ra is a healer, that's pretty good. I mean, that's pretty good.
Exactly. It's just the ability to consistently put out these heals. Heal, dash, heal, dash, heal, dash. And when you're support, when you're building very tanky and you're in the middle of everything, it works out very, very well. Now on this Artemis, another character that we haven't seen too much of outside of Panda Cat, who's been very, very successful with it, but he's been successful for a number of years. BaRRaCCuDDa on this Artemis. Why are we seeing the selection outside of the comfort picks on a guy like BaRRa?
Artemis is just really good, honestly. Like, Artemis has always been good. What she's really struggled in is the laning phase.
Okay.
Throwing Dagger allowed her to get out of that laning phase much easier. She's not as worried about getting pressured in lane anymore because she can survive. Even if she's under tower, she could still clear wave without worrying about too much poke. And then in addition, we've now seen Wind Demon come into the meta, and that is a perfect item for her because she is the only hunter in the game. Actually, is she the only god in the game that has a crit passive, right? Natural crit, right? Najah has crit on an ability. There's a couple of those, but like just
Flaming
natural
Spear will enable you. Yeah.
Natural crit onto Artemis. So combine that with any crit items, and it's just super useful.
Exactly, and you know, even combining that with a throwing dagger, if you get a crit that gets distributed, that's, you know,
yes.
Also. So basically, the changes to the items outside in the world of Smite have really brought Artemis to the forefront. She's gotten a number of changes herself, though. You'll see that Boar be a little bit more speedy, and now the option for it to be dropped at the end of a Gold Fury is a very viable option, which just gives Luminosity even more objective secure on the outside of that Spirit Arrow.
She also has a pretty decent 1v1 matchup against Hou-Yi's, right? She can bore the ricochet, so she's not going to get stunned. Also, Hou-Yi has a very slow jump, so a lot of times you'll see, kind of like on hers, where you'll see the mark immediately into the jump knock-up coming out of Hou-Yi's. It's a little bit of a risky move, obviously, because you use your escape ability, but it's kind of like that full wombo combo potential. Because Hou-Yi's jump is a little bit slow, because you go up into the air, and then you target yourself down. Artemis does have the reaction time to be able to bore, right? And the second Hou-Yi comes down, he's going to be met with a stun.
And there's a lot of damage potential. Bore into the trap, into the volley, into the basics, and you just sort of cross your fingers hoping for a crit. That Artemis, I mean, she winds up being... She's one of the OG hyper carries.
Yes.
She winds up being, at the end of the game, just incredibly difficult to deal with. Not only does she have the items that she's buying because she's a late game hunter, but just the natural crit level as well.
If you can stay alive, you are basically the best hunter in the game, right? Where it's like, if you could just sit there and free cast untouched and hit your basics, like, it's just so useful. Amaterasu being bullied out early. This is to be expected. And actually, there's the immune onto the dash. And Benji, he should die here unless he can create space. And he will be able to create space in time. Funny enough, he actually swapped off of the healing or the movement speed aura as the slow ended, but still able to get away in time.
Yeah, ScaryD very early in this game, just 2:30 on the clock. That tower still swinging for a bazillion. Andy's going to make the rotation.
Batz is behind him, though. Mast is 5 as well. They're trying to find a counter.
Forward. Not going to find it.
This is the bait onto Andy.
And there's the ultimate into the wall. Andy's going to go ahead and get away, but Benji says no. and takes out the jungler from a distance. ScaryD again with a hair of HP, 50 health or less. And that's going to be Scary getting away.
That's 2 games in a row that andinster making a little mistake. There's probably not really a mistake. That was just a really good job by Mass. But game 1, very aggressive onto the soul lane, and andinster has put a lot of pressure onto Benji. That has not paid off.
And that's what I like about that play out of Denial. Mask understands that Andy's going to go over to the right hand side.
It was a beautiful bait
because
by Denial.
He's been that's been the game plan the whole series. In game number 1, that's where Andy has gone. Andy has visited that as soon as he hit level 5. Mask knew that and then followed Andy there, but stayed just at a range, understanding that if Andy turned around, he would see him. So he stayed at a range, able to make the counter gank, and Denial successfully get first blood.
Also, this pick makes a little bit more sense to me looking at the Hun Batz, because I think this is playing around the player specifically. andinster, even last game, he went blink. He likes to make these aggressive plays. And Hun Batz, you drop Fear No Evil, right? Even at level 1, where it's, not fearing as long, you can just 100-0 assassins. And, if andinster gets caught in it, and as long as there's follow-up, say, from Benji, he's going to die.
I mean, that ultimate is the specific reason why Hun Batz is considered a top-tier jungle. It's got fantastic capability when it comes time to team fight, but make no bones about it, the ability to gank is also way up there.
I mean, yeah, you look at Hun Batz's kit, right? There's a jump, which is nice, has a little bit of a slow, okay.
Sweet.
The overhand smash, one of the slowest abilities in the game.
Don't care.
The 3, not too easy to use, but this Fear No Evil, pretty useful.
ScaryD gonna get crit a couple of times, but it won't be enough damage to take him down. Very smart play. Or I shouldn't say smart, just very good reaction coming out from ScaryD.
ScaryD able to ult at the perfect time, just as the Fear No Evil comes out. And that is the weakness of Fear No Evil, is that there is that pre-fire time where you can actually see the totem or whatever it is thrown out.
And Mask one more time, no ultimate available, just shows up, taking the wave. But yeah, you see the totem come down, you hear it, you hear the boom-baga, or whatever the noise is, and then it's just party time. So that gives you a small, less than a second of time. But at this level, all the players can really respond to that with the ultimate. ScaryD gets in the CC immunity and literally just turns 360 degrees and walks away.
Despite giving up first blood, LG still has a slight gold lead, looking at about 300 right now. So they've done a better job of farming across the board, and an experienced lead as well, coming into about 500. andinster specifically has 1 level lead. Looking at the gold, I believe it's probably from the dual lane, and it looks like Artemis with about a 100 to 200 gold advantage.
Look at that dual lane. Nothing happening.
Oh yeah, no.
Ho, you got some poke, and everybody else is just like, nope. Nothing at all happening. No player damage on 2 of the supports and 1 of the hunters out of the possible 4 people in the long lane. A very passive game coming out from Denial and Luminosity this early on.
And I expect this from Artemis, right? You can fight early, but but that's kind of based on your RNG crits and your passive.
Sure, but at the same time, Artemis constantly looks for the poke with her volley.
She'd rather clear the wave, and as long as the Hou-Yi, like if the Hou-Yi's not, if she's standing in the archers or the melees, yeah, but if Vetium ever stood in that, I'd be like, who is this playing for Vetium? Why are you doing this against Artemis?
Well, Denial going to do this against Luminosity, looking for the early objective in the Gold
Fury. Looks like a bait. They reset it a couple times. Here comes andinster, and it's a bait straight onto him.
Everybody
no beads available, and right now, Denial doing such a beautiful job of abusing andinster's habits.
You were, and that's the key here. That's the key here. That's Denial adjusting to Andy's situation of not having the beats. There's the board. It's going to be a bad spot. Luminosity are able to take away the Gold Fury from Denial, but Mask answers back immediately, taking JeffHindla off. Very well played by BaRRaCCuDDa. Steals the Gold Fury away and actually puts Luminosity in the lead.
I'm looking more at a misplay coming out from Denial. They had 0 player zone. The Fear No Evil was down. They really didn't have a way to clear it, right? The whole point was that they were trying to burst it with Xenotronics ultimate, but it was just a little bit mistimed. And I think that was a little bit just too risky of a move. He had already got to the pick onto andinster. Maybe if you're trying to fight LG, you could force it there, but just immediately, BaRRaCCuDDa goes, I'm going to ult, I'm going to 3, and just the follow-up from the rest of LG, and they steal away the Gold Fury.
Yeah, BaRRa's timing on that was very, very strong. And that's really, like you said, Denial. They got the Andy out of the situation.
If you don't have an Ice Assault and you can't zone, it's generally too risky to force the Gold Fury unless you're planning on baiting and looking for the kills.
Andy now alive once more on the Suku. He's got 2 deaths. The lack of purification has been the game plan for Denial. Like you said, even though Hun Batz pick in the picks and bans might have been trying to make this play happen. Shadowq is going to get chased out. Half HP. But no ult used. Quite a different story on the other side. Luminosity used Andy's ult and BaRRaCCuDda's ult, if I'm not mistaken. So
trying to all in Shadowq there, but he's gone into the tank boot, so it's a little bit healthier. And he was also very close to the tower. Now, actually, Benji here going to be looking at this speed buff. Masters around the corner, does have Fear No Evil, and I think they want to kill andinster if he steps out of line.
Yeah, that's really been the focal point. And with Luminosity, BaRRaCCuDda's ultimate is online. It wasn't used in the last engagement. It was used a little while longer.
Andy has red buff, so he can't
Andy
pick up
needs
speed.
to escape. BaRRaCCuDda can get him out.
When did Andy get red buff?
A little bit earlier, so BaRRaCCuDda will be the speedy Janus.
Hey, man, Janus is already very fast. Then he has Threshold, and he gets bonus moves going through portals. Like, how are you going to kill a Janus with speed buff? When you really think about it, right? Unless you're going to 100 to 0 him.
And when it comes to Awilix having power, I have no.
That's actually not that bad.
No,
yeah.
it's excellent. Awilix scales excellently across the board, and don't forget her passive. Awilix gets 30% extra contribution from her physical power to her abilities when she initiates on the opponent. That's all Andy's doing. He's blinking in, getting a hit, and finding a feather step. He's making use of that passive. You know what? Give him the red.
Benji trying to get these fire elementals here. andinster was lurking around, but he'll back off, and this is what's worrying. He has to be so careful against masks specifically. He needs about a level and a little bit before he can get his purification online. And I think andinster is going to be a little bit more passive in trying to force anything with Hunbats around, right? If he doesn't have vision on Hunbats, I don't think andinster wants to fight.
Yeah, it's just that option. The scary situation of the Fear No Evil coming down from the top, and that's what Mask is looking for here. Trying to find the jump, can't and won't, but he'll get some minions to level up.
And you can just tell, andinster typically one of the most aggressive players in the jungle, especially on a speedy god like either Thor, Serket, or this Awilix, like. And he is not going past that mid-harpy level.
And keep in mind that this sort of reign of terror, this super defensive play that Denial has forced andinster into, it's over in half a level.
Yeah, he doesn't need to worry soon.
Once level 12 comes online for the Awilix player, I mean, he's going to have the purification, and it'll still be a scary scenario, but Mask will definitely not have that, well, I have the trump card, you auto-lose because I'm dropping it on top of you and there's no way out for you. The Fury will be available.
The important part is that he hits it before the next Gold Fury spawns, which is in about 1 minute and 15 seconds. You can even see splitting a little bit of XP and gold with BaRRaCCuDDa, really wants to hit level 12. Because if he doesn't have it for Gold Fury and Denial force it in, it's much harder for him.
That's the race. So we talk from time to time about power spikes, but this is sort of like a defensive spike. And once this defensive spike comes on, he'll be able to go ahead and combat. But right now, not the case. Here's a big rotation from Denial to the right-hand side. Luminosity is scary deep. I want to bring attention to something interesting, Kevin. Do you see it?
What?
The Transcendence 2.
Yeah, it's been meta for like 2 weeks now. I think it was Cyclone's meta I first saw it on, where it's just like, Vamana has his ultimate, which basically makes him, I wouldn't say immune to death, but alive, right? And as long as there's no Osiris or Serket or Odin where you're gonna have that immune healing. Oh, actually, aggression. And I don't think Luminosity are gonna force anything more. Actually, Scary D looking to surge forward. Benji, his dash is down and gonna be forced to ult there. Luminosity quickly turned on him.
BaRRaCCuDDa just let it go. The ultimate coming out from the Janus. Not going to find a hole for Jeff to walk through. So 2 ultimates, very important for initiation on Luminosity, are down for the count. BaRRaCCuDDa definitely has his, but he's in a different spot.
And back to the Vamana is that just his ability scales so well after physical power. He even got nerfed, right? And they're still getting picked up. That's what's extraordinary.
Right.
Can we actually hover over Armored Umbrella and Umbrella Ring? I believe it's 70%, and then hover over Umbrella Ring is 50%. It's just really solid scaling on guaranteed hit abilities, and it hits twice, so it's going to be 100% if you manage to hit both.
Yeah, the scaling on Scary D's character very high, and that Transcendence some of the highest, but is the defense there? That's always the question when it comes to building these offensive items on the solo lane. You have a specific job, and that's always me when I'm preaching when I see a Jotun's Wrath built on these tiers, etc. But Vamana occupies a very different spot. You know, I mentioned it before where Vamana just peeling like Ares does by way of damage. So that Transcendence is going to allow Luminosity to have some of that extra scary peel coming out from a giant scary baby played by Scary D.
look at Denial. They're actually going to walk onto BaRRaCCuDDa's ward. They're looking for TheBoosh, and he's going to make it through his portal just in time. Forced to use Purification, and that was actually very needed because what happened is he was actually in the middle of the casting a portal animation, which means he couldn't have reactionary ult. Even though he heard the blink from Batz, he wouldn't have been able to get off his through space in time for that CC immunity before he got feared and pushed away from the wall.
Mask now. And there's the Purification on Awilix if you didn't catch it before. So the blink down for Mask this time around. And the Fear No Evil more importantly. And that's always the rough spot when you use that Fear No Evil for an individual gank, is that it's so fantastic at dictating the entirety of a team fight that using it on a gank and not getting anything out of it hurts more than other ultimates almost.
Shadowq off the mark on a pluck, and actually BaRRaCCuDDa has rotated. I don't think Shadowq realized that. He will purify the pool here, has his ultimate to keep him alive, and you can see BaRRaCCuDDa charging it from a distance. It's not going to connect onto anyone, and LG, they're going to back off now.
Look at the positioning from JeffHindla in that fight. The whole time, he's just standing in front of the Khepri, knowing that Abduct gets stopped, just like an Athena or Benji's dash. One more time, Denial going to get a little testy here on the Gold Fury. Brings it down to about 75%, but they're repeatedly leashing it.
No one's zoning. They
learned the lesson from last time. They want the fight, but they're not going to commit this time.
And Benji, Amaterasu isn't the best warrior at zoning, right? Typically, you prefer like a Bellona or a tier more. Gods that can either dish out a lot of ability damage or slow you, have this massive effect. Benji's more about, doing damage and controlling people with his ultimate, and he doesn't want to burn his ultimate to peel.
And he's going to burn his ultimate to look at Scary D. There's the curse, so no more healing available, but Benji not willing to go too deep, knowing that Luminosity are on the right side of the map, right here by the speed.
That was also all of his abilities were on cooldown, and then he switched his stance to the power stance, and so he couldn't actually keep up after that, but he's going to get a second chance to dive here. Scary D gonna stay alive. JeffHindla hits him with the heal. Scary D has teleport, so he'll be fine back in the lane, and no teleport from Benji available for Denial to maybe force some cheeky Gold Fury.
At the very least, Benji keeps Benji keeps Luminosity on the right side of the map, away from the objective.
I love what just happened. So instead of Scary D teleporting back in the lane, he lets JeffHindla get solo farm.
Wonderful play. Denial gonna surround the mid mage here. Shadowq gets credit for the kill onto the BaRRaCCuDDa thanks to the dot coming out of the rolling sun. Xenotronics going to be fine as well. Love what happens there. Denial chases BaRRaCCuDDa into the jungle, forcing him to use his portal through, and right there waiting is Mask to drop the ultimate, and they just combine for a wonderful... Fine, you're going to walk this way, and that's totally okay. That's where we want you to walk. The detour was employed by Denial to put BaRRaCCuDDa in a scary spot.
And it was just a really well-executed play. And no Gold Fury, though, coming out from Denial. Not in a position to force it. They burned a lot of ultimates on that, and Benji was on the wrong side of the map with TP. Denial still lead ever so slightly. They are the only ones with kills on the board. They have a 1,300 gold lead, a 3K experience lead. However, it's been Luminosity to come up with the only Gold Fury, stolen away by BaRRaCCuDDa.
And not just the only Gold Fury, the only win. If you're just joining us for game number 2, Denial was able to, lead the game for the entirety of it until the very end, where Luminosity just
killed comebacks, man.
Yeah,
right?
Killed the Titan.
I think Enemy, they're really good at comebacks as well, but
Very much so.
LG are the king. They've been doing it for 2+ years now.
Yeah, I mean, this team
you
is always...
can never count them out.
Yeah. That statement gets said a lot, but when it comes to Luminosity, I mean, that's really the key here.
I mean, the only game I need to direct people to prove it is Game 1 at Worlds. When it was Cloud9 versus Epsilon, now Panthera, and it was just so ridiculous. They got a triple kill. They gave Yaman a triple kill, and then a 4th kill onto, I think it was iRapper, and a Gold Fury at 2.5 minutes.
Scary D might be a kill on himself right here. No curse available for Benji, so he's going to have to deal with that ticking health going up.
Someone's going to die here, but LG have the opportunity to force Gold Fury. Scary D should not live here.
There's the curse, and clear the path going to be used to escape. There's the dash forward. A lot of damage coming out from the Amaterasu. And here's everyone else from Denial. Xenotronics gets credit for that. And there's the communication. Jeff immediately looks towards the gold. Once Scary D says, hey, it's not just one, it's not just two. There's 3 Denial members here. Y'all better do the Gold Fury. That's exactly what LG does, but they're chased off of it.
They're actually looking for the kills instead. Vetium going to manage to stay alive just barely. Benji's made his rotation. BaRRaCCuDDa's ult is down, and look at this from beneath. It's Masked. He jumps forward here. His blink, it is online. No, excuse me, it's down, so he can't do anything. And now it's going to be Gold Fury forced by Denial. BaRRaCCuDDa has ultimate to get in here.
Mast has ultimate as well, so much different story from the last time Denial tried this. They go ahead and they secure the Gold Fury. BaRRaCCuDDa just a hair too late. Right side, left side, andinster finds the bump, but not the pull onto Vetium. Now,
Purified away.
able to walk away. That's the first time we see a real tangible lead. LG leading by 1,200 or so beforehand. Now, Denial take their lead and they run with it. 3,500 gold for the Orange Dog. 17, almost 18 minutes, and it's a shutout so far. No kills on the side of LG.
And that was a really good job by Vetium specifically. We actually saw LG didn't even want to commit to that Gold Fury. They actually wanted to just bait a fight. They were looking to kill both Shadowq and Vetium there, but Vetium gets dove on, drops the ult on himself, and then immediately Sanctuary. And there's no way LG can just sit there and wait for the 3 seconds inside the Sunbreaker to try and get the kill. And then even there, andinster trying to make a play after the Gold Fury had been completed, but still has Purification up, so he's going to be able to immune out that Gravity Surge.
I remember this play. ScaryD could bind. There's 2 players here. It's Mask and it's Benji. But BaRRaCCuDDa is going to make it a little bit different from last time, and so will Andy. First kill on the board for Luminosity as Mask gets taken out by the other assassin. And now Benji has to sit safely underneath his tower.
Look at this mid lane. BaRRaCCuDDa's actually rotated over. JeffHindla getting some solo farm, and we've seen JeffHindla actually get a couple waves of solo farm here in this game. One in the solo lane, I think once or twice in the dual lane. And actually, he's going to be looking for Xenotronics as well. Big rotation coming in from all of LG.
No stun available, or at least not going to be found on top of Xenotronics. And then he goes ahead and immunes out some of the damage with the Sanctuary.
And you can see LG should be able to get this tower here. Khepri and the Hou Yi rotating in on the top side. Supernova going to be juked out by the BaRRaCCuDDa here. And LG, they're just going to focus on the tower, take the portal out, and back off.
Vetium just deals literally 1 basic attack to JeffHindla. Just a little bit too late to the tower. ScaryD, on the other hand, ring around the mulberry bush. And Benji finds a kill. Number 6 in total for Denial. 2 for the solo lane.
And a really good job overall by Benji. Has been able to just shut down ScaryD. We've seen a lot of pressure over to this lane, to be fair. He's had a little bit of help, but constantly we see ScaryD getting very low. And a lot of it, his own fault. The first couple times we took a trip over to the right lane where Benji was trying to kill off ScaryD, ScaryD was very deep into Denial's jungle by himself with no potential for rotation unless the BaRRaCCuDDa ults over.
Denial put another 500 gold into their coffers here with the taking of the tier 1 tower. And here's Maz coming aggressive, looking for a kill. The monkey bounces to the tankier target, but there's the abduct, half HP for JeffHindla. Right-hand side, in comes Xenotronics. The slow is good, the crit is strong. Overhand smash gets juked away because of a dash, and BaRRaCCuDDa shows up with the portal just in time. But Benji waiting again on the other side.
Denial now 4,000 gold lead. They're going to be able to pressure out this tier 2 as well. You can see Vetium had BaRRaCCuDDa locked under tower. Now he's going to make the rotation to mid, and this should be Denial, honestly, looking to pressure either Gold Fury for a baited fight or that tier 2 in mid. JeffHindla's still down, and with Vetium having pushed up that wave already, that's going to be the rotation. LG has responded. They're in position, but they're still down a player.
A couple of players in the jungle. Still, you see BaRRaCCuDDa on the left side of your screen, and ScaryD just walking right up in the middle of everybody on Denial. Looking for the tower, still about half HP. Trying to find those basic attacks is Hou Yi, can't find it.
This is a lot of investment on andinster. He's just honestly just getting baited by Benji the whole time while his team's getting dove under the mid tower. But somehow BaRRaCCuDDa and ScaryD able to force Denial off for now. JeffHindla has respawned. Tower's done though, and Denial Esports, they had a 1,200 lead a couple of minutes ago, and looking at the graphs now, 7,200. They're in the same position they were last game, however, when LG somehow managed to mount a comeback. And look at that damage from Benji. Wow.
You know, we look at teams and look at how they've improved week by week by week to become the teams they have. And a couple of players have made roster switches, some role swaps, blah, blah, blah. For Denial, 100% is the discipline. And we still see them get in trouble for this, don't get me wrong. But I think 3 weeks ago, Denial keeps going on that fight after the tier 2. They dive and they get wiped, and they lose a fire giant for it. This week, they get the tier 2, and they just walk away. I think
well,
that's
they
the
better
biggest
after them not having any discipline last game. When they had a massive lead, and instead of making the safe play, tried to race LG, who are, that's what they want, right?
I mean,
LG try and bait players into like playing chicken with them, and Denial's like, nah, we'll play chicken with you.
I maintain if that push on the left side was made 5 to 10 seconds earlier, if that fire giant dies 5 to 10 seconds later, Denial wins that game. it's the difference between 6 seconds and 0, honestly, Kevin. So, I don't know. I still like the play from Denial, and they are still susceptible to these over-aggressive plays, these we stayed too long plays. But for the most part, I think the discipline of Denial has been a real big change and allowed them to be what makes them even now and trending upwards.
LG forced out of left-hand side, have to use Boosh's through space of time right-hand side. Scaredy will be able to get a tier 1. The question is, will he teleport over to try and defend this tier 2? Denial,
doubtful. They
want to siege it. LG honestly not in position right now, and I think they're going to have to concede it based on their positioning, and that's it. Scaredy still trying to push up. Benji does have TP. No, it's actually down, so Scaredy should be able to get a tier 2 as well, and this is a win for LG. They'll trade out a tier 1 and tier 2. It will be a gold tier and a stolen red, though, in advantage of the Orange Dogs.
Yeah, Denial right now, even if they give up the tier 2, the 1 and 2 towers that Denial picked up on the left side, very strong. And then the Gold Fury as well. Artemis is here. Does BaRRaCCuDDa want to show his face? With the Gold Fury this slow, definitely not. Quickly turns around. And with the last sequence we just saw, 23 and a half on the clock. Denial lead by 6 kills and close to 10K. They're up by 8,000 gold.
And just, we're going to see some items completed here. Big items. Mast comes up with the Deathbringer. Starting on to, it looks like to be a Titan's Bane, going to round out that mace tree for himself. We see Oboe starting to be worked on by Vetium. He's got the Chin Size and the Titan's Bane completed as well. Right now is Denial Esports. This is their power play opportunity to force this Gold Fury, or excuse me, this Fire Giant. We're about 24 minutes in. They have no towers left to take. The Gold Fury's down. They have no jungle to steal away or grab. That has to be their next point of contention. Otherwise, they're just allowing LG to farm up and close that gap.
Look at the builds here coming out from Xenotronics. Normally we see Soul build full out mage. Zapman, however, takes the opposite direction and will go ahead and build full out in hand, whether it's Demo Grip or otherwise. Demo Grip, Polynomicon, etc. Xenotronics sticks more to the mage build, but does feature the Polynomicon. This is going to allow him to have a little bit more burst.
I mean, most Soul builds will have Polynomicon in, but that is fairly early, I would say.
Yeah.
Scaredy actually going to get picked off here. JeffHindla's rotated in, but I mean, he's by himself. No one on LG can follow up. And actually, here comes Benji as well, trying to find the stun. There's Tusky, and here's Mass blinking forward. He's going to actually turn his attention, and it's just going to be the 1 kill for Denial for now.
The
and
1
stolen
kill,
speed.
and the stolen speed, and the shell. Shell is so important for these teams in these team fights, specifically with the Guan Yu. Due to lack of the peel, he wants to be able to pop that shell and assist his teammates in other ways, like with the shell and with the heal. With the shell not available, you don't see the intrusion from Luminosity anymore. BaRRaCCuDDa can't walk up there because there are not as many options that JeffHindla and BaRRa have to now go ahead and take the free Fire Giant.
And it's there trying to find a tier 2 in mid. He's not going to find it. Denial finished off the Fire Giant too fast. We also saw Boosh fire through space and time, just trying to snipe it away. LG had conceded it outside of an RNG steal, right? It's
yeah,
like
you got to go
maybe the Boosh can somehow manage to luck out a timing here, but I mean, 2 games in a row now, Denial, they have full control of the game, and this is an LG squad that andinster stated would win the rest of the split clean against teams. And now they're facing off against the 5th place in North America, and they've been getting bodied. Outside of a single mistake from Denial, they have had full control of this set.
Exactly. And, you know, I mean, you take a look at Luminosity. What's the biggest difference for you here in game number 1, from game number 1 to game number 2 for LG?
andinster, for Denial, excuse me?
For Luminosity.
I think it's kind of the same, right? This is basically a very similar lead. Denial's been playing it a little bit more safe for the most part. But
for me, it's the solo lane, man. I mean, Scaredy was a presence the entirety of the game, even went down. And here, I mean, just 0-3-1 on the Vamana, not making it happen. And this is a situation where I ask you as my analyst, what can Vamana do when he's behind, since he largely, it's knockups, but it's more about the damage and the threat of the baby.
I mean, this is Scaredy's fault, right? We saw him get picked off and getting way too aggressive into Denial's jungle against Benji, who really abused that aggression.
So how does he spin this into positive?
I mean, he's late game build now, so it doesn't really matter at this point. Middle Phoenix is going to fall, left-hand side, more pressure coming out of Denial.
That trap on a Benji takes away a bunch of his HP, but after it's done, he just doesn't care. The mid Phoenix is down, a lot of pressure coming out from Denial, and there's the poke out of Xenotronics. It's going to send JeffHindla to the back of the wave. Mass gets knocked up before he can do much of anything on top of the baby.
And I expect Denial to play this much safer here in this game. Right now, Luminosity have all their ults online. Outside of Tusky, but Denial, they're still rocking all 5, and they're going to be pushing up this wave. They want to pick onto anyone. Mast going to have a pretty big fear no evil here. Benji, frontlining for now, just going to try and force out the boosh, and there goes the portal.
Exactly.
A little bit of poke as well.
Exactly what he wanted there. Mass drops the ultimate. ScaryD absolutely gone. That's the 4th death for the solo laner. 27 on the clock. And Denial now pushing down the left-hand side. Shell is popped, and Jeff is popped as well. 2 kills for the monkey.
This could be game right now. BaRRaCCuDDa has a lot of damage online, but needs to be careful. The stun going to come out, and Benji is just zoning the players in the bow. And Denial, they're going to turn their attention. There comes the Sunbreaker as well. LG, this is going to be very hard to defend. Vetium comes up with a kill on andinster, and only 2 players remaining for LG. Not going to be enough in Denial. They're going to come up with the split against LG. They should have won 2-0, but still, DreamHack, man.
Yeah.
I think Denial could regret that first game loss.
It's rough. I mean, every game really matters here, especially like you said with respect to DreamHack, LG specifically.
This split was realistically like a really good feeling for enemy Soar and Eager specifically, right? Eager really want LG and Denial to start only trading out games and not coming up with big 2-0s because they need to take that, advancement. I think enemy's in a pretty good spot because they got rolling so early, but LG splitting this game against Denial, who also could look to sneak themselves into that 3rd place spot. It's a very dangerous situation.
Now the players have to start looking at their opponent's strength of schedule and see what teams everybody's going up against. Do you have to deal with enemy? Do we have to deal with enemy? That's really the conversation here. But as we saw, I mean, fantastic play coming out across the board from Denial. Unfortunately for them and their fans, they go ahead and they drop game number 1. But a big part of that was, I mean, ScaryD on the side of Luminosity. Even down, even when he wasn't ahead, ScaryD was able to make the impacts here. Here he is on the Fenrir, on his storied Fenrir. This is the solo lane that we've talked about a lot about. And watch this turnaround kill.
I mean, this was just Mass missing his ultimate, and that was ScaryD had backed off right at the wrong time, and then ScaryD has been so good at abusing players' mistakes when they dive him, right? And just there, just completely outplays right here as well, focusing on Xenotronics. That wasn't even his original target, it was Vetium, but then the call was made that Xenotronics has no beads, completely pulls him to the rest of his squad.
Here again, one more time, just combining. This is fun. The first kill that we got was all ScaryD being aggressive. The second kill that we see is more about the utility that Fenrir brings to the table. This time, it's a little column A, a little column B. Starting the party with a stun, and then following it up with the kill onto the over by the mid-Harpies with a jump.
Game 2 is a little bit different, though. We saw ScaryD getting very aggressive and honestly just dying. There was too many points there. Obviously, early game, the Vamana is going to control the Amaterasu, but he wasn't able to get a big of a lead. And honestly, ScaryD overexerting himself. And the big thing here, I think that was the fight where LG tried to force the Gold Fury, but they got nothing on it. Vetium doing a really good job of staying alive. And ScaryD, even though he drew rotations to his team, wasn't able to have the same impact.
Benji's going to take this fight 27 times out of 10. He's always going to take that fight. If you're just backing in the middle of the lane, ScaryD's got to be a little bit more aware of that, and there he goes ahead and falls. This, honestly, is less about ScaryD dropping the ball in just late-game situation. When you get plucked, you're done.
We saw that exact same play at that final Phoenix defense as well, and it was a really good job of Mass to recognize it's Vamana, right? As long as I can get the Fear No Evil before he can get his ultimate off, it's a guaranteed kill at this stage in the game.
Split down the middle, Denial takes the second game, not the first, though. Tonight, we're joined by Shadowq, the support player for Denial. How you doing, bud?
Hey, pretty good. How are you guys?
I'm doing pretty well. Congratulations on your win and everything going on in your life. But I do want to focus real quick on game number 1. Can you just break down what happened there towards the end? You guys looked really good right until the last moment.
Yeah, our brains kind of just shut off. Not really much else to talk about that.
You tried to smork it and it didn't work out?
Nope, it did not work. Smork usually does work, though. Got to give it some credit.
Not this
time.
Right?
All right.
Yeah.
Tell me about this set heading in. LG looking much better with ScaryD. You guys now have Masked on board. You've been playing a little bit better. What were your expectations in this set? Because despite the game 1 mistake, I mean, you controlled LG front to back. Is that what you honestly thought was going to happen?
Yeah, I definitely thought we were favored. I put 2-0 for us for FP, but
as you should.
We were definitely favored in both games.
Talk to me a little bit about your expectations now with Masked, because despite you guys having a fewer number of wins, your losses are actually pretty on par looking at that 3rd place spot, because you guys haven't played as many games as other teams. Obviously, it took a while to get rolling. How confident are you in closing out this split?
I'm pretty confident. I think that we have more than like a 50% chance to go into LAN, and all of us are really excited to go. So Yeah, definitely expecting to do really well. If we don't make it, it'll at least be really, really, really close.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Next match. Let me talk about next match because you said you thought you were favored here against Luminosity. You're going to be facing off against Soar in Week 8. Do you think it's the same thing, or do you think this one's going to be much closer?
Soar's definitely a tougher opponent for us, I think, but I think we'll still do really well.
Okay.
I want to bring this one a little bit closer to the X's and O's. You're a guy that I really value the opinion as far as when it comes down to just the strategy of playing the game. When it comes down to the new map or the new old map, depending on how you want to look at it, Speed Buff is back. Does that benefit your team more or less than some of the other squads you're up against?
I think Mask is like best or second best jungler in NA, so I guess it helps us more. It also lets us have more initiative, like for invades and stuff, because there's more experience on the map altogether.
Of course.
So I think the changes do benefit us, and I'm excited to look for more strategy
All right.
with the map.
All right. Final question for me regarding picks and bans of those set. You guys left Awilix up in both sets, and even in set 2, you actually picked the Hunbats into it. Was I right in assuming that was kind of like a play style looking to abuse andinster, who almost always goes blink over the purification?
The plan wasn't necessarily to abuse Blink, but rather that Awilix gets like much lower value when the support gets beads, because Awilix's job is just to like look for the support on cooldown or somebody who messes up their actives a little bit too much on cooldown, and like the support getting beads is kind of a hard counter to the strategy a lot of the time.
That makes sense.
So that was our thought process going into that.
And last question from me. A lot of your players are pretty well known, especially Mask now that he's in the jungle. What can you tell us about Xenotronics? I did see him streaming last night or so, so he's trying to get himself out there. But what can you tell the fans at home that are a little bit less familiar with your mid laner? What can you bring to the table about Xeno?
He is new to the SPL and the competitive scene, except for Challenger Cup. But he is like the most improved player on our team so far. Obviously, he has the most room to improve, but he's really dedicated. He tries as much as he can, and he's been doing really well, actually.
Yeah.
So, go Xeno.
I mean,
Awesome.
yeah, Kevin and I took note of it. And that's all well and good about behind the scenes. Give me something more fun. Give me like a personal note about Xeno. Is he afraid of dogs? Does he love heights? What does he do?
I don't know, man. That's a tough question.
Nothing personal at all? All right.
He
Sounds
likes
good.
mages, I bet.
Sure.
He does.
Sounds good, man. That's going to do it for here. You have any shout-outs you want to give before we let you go?
Yeah, shoutouts to HyperX, DX Racer, Scuff Gaming, Sector 6, and Twitch.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. That is the support player, Shadowq, for Denial. They wind up splitting down the middle with Luminosity. Both of these squads really trying hard to head towards DreamHack. The only team that has confirmed their spot at DreamHack, they're European. Over in North America, it's a little bit more complex.
Look at this, right? Luminosity currently sitting in third. However, they have 8 losses. Looking at Denial Esports, they've played a set less, but still the same number of losses. They are still competing. Obviously, enemy sitting at 14-6.
Mm-hmm.
They got off rolling really strong, and I think they're going to continue to kind of trade out here as Source sits atop. And this is the big thing for me because Denial, they're only realistically 2 games out, right? 2 games out of qualifying for DreamHack right now.
Very close. I think everybody from 5 up can go to DreamHack, but only from 1 to 3 will actually make it. 9 teams competing for $250,000, not $2,500 if you heard earlier. But you can go as well. Tickets are at dreamhack.se, and you can buy some tickets for yourself. Paladins will also be there. 4 teams from around the globe will be competing over $100,000.
Looking at the rest of the schedule for this week, next week, we're going to start off on Thursday. Soar Gaming going to be taking on Denial Esports. That is going to be a big game for both of them. And then following it up, another big game. LG taking on Eager. These are 4 of the top teams in North America, all still battling for DreamHack. And then finally, we're going to close out with a little bit of Envious and Allegiance looking at the other side of the standings.
Yeah, tons of playoff implications, or at least land implications for 1 and 2 as far as those matches on Thursday are concerned. And then the final match there, little bit of the other side of the coin, trying to avoid relegations. Right there are the bottom 2 teams, Envy and Allegiance, trying to find some wins to get themselves out of the 8 and 7 spot specifically.
And once again there, we saw on the schedule, Eager going to be taking on Luminosity. We're going to have a special guest on the cast. Thank you guys so much for more than exceeding our stretch goal was $15,000, and we raised $71,000 for Allied to help with his cancer treatment. Hashtag Allied Strong in chat. And because of that, Dry Bear will be joining Tom on that broadcast, so it's a set you don't want to miss.
I'm so excited. Can you do your best Dry Bear impersonation?
Hey, everyone, it's Dry Bear, and welcome to Luminosity versus Eager.
You got to commit more.
I can't do it, man.
Everybody, thank you for joining our SPL broadcast.
All right, let's close out today.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you for joining us here at the SPL. That's going to do the end of week number 7. We'll head into week number 8 on Thursday, Esports Weekly on Friday. Make sure you're there. I'm there. For everybody here at hi-rez Studios, myself, Kevin, all the commentators, and, of course, Peckies, we'll catch you next week.
Don't forget Peckies.